Hello and welcome to the best comic book review show, also known as Comicstorian Weekly.
Yes, quite.
Yes, how are you today, Andrew?
Fantastic. I don't know if I can maintain that the whole show.
No. But I realized last time I said that I'm going to start all of these with different voices.
Like
so for some reason,
that was where you went with
that's
it.
Where I went today.
I like
where
it,
I went. So since today there are a lot of comics on the list.
There was.
I read, I think, like 25 myself.
I think I read like something like that.
So we're just going to jump right on in. By the way, that's Andy. I'm Dan. Cool. So, first up, Arrow number 6 did come out. We're not reading that one, but we are letting you know because it is in the Marvel manga line is what I'm calling it. But the first one that I believe we both read, Age of Conan, Valeria, number 5, the conclusion to the arc. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it. I did too. I liked it. I liked how it wrapped up in a way that you're like, okay, I kind of expected this.
Yeah, that's where I kind of saw it going. Like she would learn the truth behind her brother's death.
And it was actually kind of funny because he was mentioning that her brother did shady things to make the money. And it wasn't until he said that I was like, that's right. The soldier would not be able to afford that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so I'm glad that I like the Conan stories because they're realistic. She doesn't go, no, you have to be lying. She's like, oh, wait,
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
I don't have any money and I've got a better job than he did.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. I actually,
that was good. Yeah, a little miniseries. Yeah,
I'm going to start reading more of the Conan stuff because of Valeria.
I converted him, folks.
He did. He really did.
Nice.
Age of Conan, Valeria, and Savage Avengers.
Yep.
You got me. Ha. All right. So next up on the list is The Amazing Mary Jane number 3. Did you read?
No.
I'm not the biggest fan of this book. I can see the audience it's for. Like, the art's great, the story's good, but I just personally don't really care to read a story that... So the story, if you aren't aware, is Mary Jane is working on a film, a biopic of Mysterio. Okay. The director is Mysterio in disguise.
Sure.
And then you get, like, villains showing up because they're like, oh, you're telling my story wrong. As Spider-Man villains do.
They do that.
But the problem with it is it's incredibly predictable and very, very clear that they're just trying to be like, no, Mary Jane is amazing. And I agree. She is amazing. She's a great character, great person. But like everything is, oh, stuff went wrong. How's Mary Jane going to fix it? And calm everyone else. And it's like you're just repeating the same thing just in different scenarios. And it's kind of throwing me off a little bit. If you have been enjoying it, you will continue to enjoy it because, like I said, it's not a bad story. No. It's just not for me.
That's fair.
I will probably keep reading it for you guys. You're welcome. But personally, if I was on a limited budget, it would definitely be out of my list.
Fair enough.
Moving on from that, we have Annihilation Scourge, Beta Ray Bill, number 1, as well as Silver Surfer, number 1. So first we're going to do the Beta Ray Bill because I feel that one's a little bit more important. Did you read either of these?
I know. I figured you've been reading these, so you were going to get to them.
So the Annihilation Scourge with Beta Ray Bill. So the Annihilation Scourge as an event right now is the Cancerverse, led by the Sentry, left the Cancerverse, took over the Negative Verse, and then or the Negative Zone? No, Negative Verse.
I think
the Negative Verse. Negative Zone?
I think so.
You know what I'm talking about. They go there, and then they're trying to make their way to the regular universe. Okay. And all these different heroes are being involved in some way. Beta Ray Bill, previously they... See, this is my problem with this story, for one, is because it's numbered in they're all number 1s.
Right, yeah.
It's hard to really fully know which one goes
which
where.
Order they were
I
supposed to
do
be
know
in,
Silver Surfer is supposed to go last, luckily.
Okay.
But Beta Ray Bill it's him showing him at this planet that he apparently protected, him and Lockjaw, because him and Lockjaw are best buds now.
Sure.
As you do.
I read that comic.
And he fights against Sentry, and he actually loses his powers for a moment.
Okay.
And that's why I mentioned it earlier, because he looks very, very odd and not horse person-like at all.
Yes, yeah, when he doesn't actually have Stormbreaker.
Yeah, when he doesn't have Stormbreaker, he just turns into...
He looks like a
orange
like
alien. Like a very skinny version of Korg from Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Like a very small version. But The one thing I do like about these stories are they all start with a history and information about that specific character, because they are all a bunch of lesser known, not very focused on characters. Beta Ray Bill being a huge example. But in this one, they almost made it through to the positive universe, but Beta Ray Bill is able to repel them to get them back into the negative verse. And then in Silver Surfer, we learn that it is based after Silver Surfer Black.
Okay.
They explain how that interacts, why he's like intangible. He's got some weird ghost stuff. I'm not going to go fully into it because it's just kind of weird. But in the Silver Surfer one, I did like it because we get a bigger explanation to the Sentry situation.
Okay.
Before, it was kind of implied that the Sentry had just gone evil. But in the Fantastic Four, it was told that Reed Richards sent Bob Reynolds there to try and split the two. In Silver Surfer, we learned it worked.
Okay.
But it split the Void, and the Void has the power of the Sentry, and Bob Reynolds is essentially just a weak guy.
Yeah.
And then
So the evil half got all the power.
Exactly. And then since Silver Surfer is half a person right now, and Bob Reynolds is half a person right now, I bet you can guess what they do. But it looks like the next one should be the Alpha Scourge Omega, which I believe is the conclusion. But it's kind of bumming me out because this event could have been so cool.
Right, yeah.
Like, this event has... I mean, it's very, very similar to War of the Realms. It's more of like War of the Verses in a way. But it just had so much potential that I feel got wasted because they spread it across all these different people and couldn't go into specific people long enough that I mean,
instead of getting like a 3-issue miniseries like we got with War of the Realms, you got like a one-off.
Exactly. But it's like they're all one-offs that half the book is just explaining them for this event where the Sentry, essentially Marvel's Superman, is with the Revengers of the Cancerverse trying to take over the main universe. Like, that's a cool, big thing. Yeah. And I feel like they kind of just watered it down too much. So anyway, that's Annihilation Scourge, Beta Ray Bill, and Silver Surfer. If you are enjoying it, definitely read them. They are enjoyable. If you liked Silver Surfer Black and you have not been reading Annihilation Scourge, I actually might recommend reading this one because it does pseudo-explain him fighting with Null, getting sent back to the start of the universe. Like, he is permanently changed because of that fight. And it seems like the Silver Surfer stuff happening in all these branch-offs are very important and key to the character's progression as a whole. So it's, if you did read that, maybe give it a chance. If not, it might be worth skipping. Next up, Batman and the Outsiders, number 8. I believe you said you read this one.
Yes, I did read this one. So this is it's the start of the new arc, but it also is wrapping up the previous arc.
Okay,
if that makes any sense, because they kind of like wrapped up the arc, but then there's still like, wait, what's happening with these people? So this is kind of like, it's a little bit of both. You get I forgot her name now. I'm terrible with characters' names. The woman who was kidnapped by Ra's al Ghul and brainwashed into an assassin. She has been brought to the Batcave by Katana.
Okay,
who's like, well, you're no longer brainwashed, but you're still kind of brainwashed, so we're just gonna keep track of you a little bit,
right?
Kind of thing,
like a new version of Orphan.
Kind of, yeah. Okay. You get a little bit more of like Orphan and Duke, who are talking, and Duke's got the new powers that Ra's kind of gave him, and Orphan's like, well, my mother's still alive, and I need to kill her. Oh, shit. Yeah, Lady Shiva is Orphan's mother.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so she had appeared in the previous arc. That sort of thing. Black Lightning is kind of talking to Batman, who they touched a little bit on the death of Alfred in this one, which they hadn't done previously.
Okay.
Which I thought was a little weird. So it's kind of like setting up probably what the new arc's going to be. With the I want to say her name is Delilah, but that doesn't sound right to me. Kind of coming out of her brainwash and figuring out if she's going to be a hero or a villain. Probably something to do with Orphan and Shiva and things like that. It was an okay book. It's necessary to kind of know where everybody's going to go.
Okay.
There wasn't a whole lot in it.
Okay.
There wasn't a lot of meat. It was mostly just kind of like, these are where everybody's at.
It was
now.
the bridging point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was an okay issue. If you've been reading, I would say keep getting it, but this is not like a great, even though it technically is the start to the new arc, it's not a great jumping on point, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just because they don't really fill you in on where
it.
everybody was.
Yeah.
Just kind of where they're at now. You know what I'm saying? It's like the recap, I guess, is kind of just mostly like throwaway lines, like Orphan and Duke are talking, and Duke's like, I got these new powers.
Right.
I don't know what to do with them yet. Like, well, wait, why does he have new powers?
Right.
And then Orphan's like, my mother's still alive. I must kill her. But she doesn't actually state who her mother is. So if you don't know the character, if you don't, if you haven't been following the arc, you're not really going to know who she's talking about.
It's really interesting. Usually they do a good job of,
it was
you can jump in.
Unless I'm maybe forgetting something, it's possible.
Yeah, we did read a lot. So.
But yeah, so like I said, it's technically the start of a new arc, but not a great jumping on point. So.
Okay. Next up after that is Batman, Curse of the White Knight, number 5. I know you've been reading this one.
I love this book. This is a great book. I like the art. I like Sean Murphy's writing.
Yep.
So this one is it's the continuation. Spoiler alert. Azrael killed James Gordon, and then basically, I'm pretty sure paralyzed Barbara in the last issue.
Okay.
So kind of that, instead of the Joker doing it in this universe, it's Azrael, and so Batman, so they have like the funeral for James Gordon, and Batman wasn't there because he was still trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
Right.
How to stop Azrael. He does learn kind of more of Azrael's history, which we then learn as a reader. And then at the very end, Azrael decides instead of being Azrael, now he's going to be Batman. So you get the 90s Azrael Batman armor, but more updated. He's still got his flaming sword. It's a cool a cool spin on the standard Nightfall storyline.
Right.
So I'm enjoying it. I think it's great.
Do we know how many issues are in this?
I think it's supposed to be 12.
12. Damn. Yeah, it does not say it like have out of numbers.
I think it's supposed to be 12 though.
Interesting.
I'm really enjoying it. If you enjoyed the Curse of the White Knight, or if you enjoyed the White Knight, you should be reading Curse of the White Knight. Okay. And it was really good. And they've already announced the third one. There's going to be another one. They don't know what it's called yet. Sean Murphy's like, yep, I got a third one coming out of White Knight, so.
It'll be the Red Knight.
Azrael. But that's what he is.
I know. Anyway, I actually do want to read this one. It's always been the one that's like on the bottom of my list because I have a lot and I know you're reading it.
Yes. I am always going to read. And I buy them physically too.
Yeah. So, all right. That is Batman, Curse of the White Knight, number 5. Next up, Black Panther and the Agents of Wakanda, number 4 came out. If you have been reading that did come out. Captain America number 17 also came out. We have not been reading either of those two. No. But Captain Marvel number 13 did come out. This was the Last Avenger part 2. Last time she fought Thor, gave Thor's head to a villain. Sure. And in this one, she takes out Tony Stark. And we also learn what's going on. Okay. Apparently, if you remember Death of the Inhumans, there was the villain Vox. And
name
Vox
sounds familiar.
Yeah, I didn't actually read Inhumans. They explain it in this, luckily. Well, apparently Vox from Death of Inhumans has somehow merged with the Supreme Intelligence of the Kree Empire.
Makes sense.
So it's the Supreme Vox, and it has taken over Captain Marvel and is essentially forcing her to do these different things. Okay. I was also not aware that Singularity was still a character in the Marvel Universe. I'm not sure if you remembered reading A-Force in Battle Worlds. Secret Wars?
Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Battle Worlds was part of Secret Wars, yeah.
It was in there. There was the book A-Force, if you remember it, and there was a little girl, and she essentially was like, she looked like space.
Okay.
And so apparently she is currently in space, like a large portion of space, and Carol can go, when she goes inside Singularity, the Vox Supreme cannot monitor her. Okay. But because her armor, it can receive everything no matter what she does, except for when she's inside. So we get an explanation or a mini explanation as to why she's doing this to Tony and to Thor. And we also learn, shocker, it wasn't Thor's head.
What? You mean Thor isn't dead?
So it's kind of cool getting to see Captain Marvel take out other heroes. But this story, I mean, it's okay. It's better than the previous one. I kind of like this idea of a very evil, being controlled kind of character, but I'm curious where they're going to go with it, because it seems like they're adding in a lot of things that seem overly confusing for the sake of being overly confusing. Like this whole, the suit is a part of her and a part of Vox, and he can hear everything through it, but not if she goes here. So there's some stuff like that where you're just kind of like, what? Like, really? But, I mean, it's not bad. If you have been reading Captain Marvel, I do recommend keep reading it. If you have been wanting to jump into Captain Marvel and want like a Captain Marvel versus the Avengers, start with issue 12, and this will be the story you want. So next up on the list, one both of us very much enjoyed, Ocean Master, Year of the Villain,
yes,
number 1.
Shockingly, I actually enjoyed this one. I clicked on it like, ugh, another Year of the Villain. I don't care.
My first thought was, I thought Black Manta was that.
That's what I thought. I was like, man, what is that? But it was actually it was a fun story. It was it was an interesting Ocean Master story. I've never really liked him as a villain. I never really thought he was a very interesting villain.
Yeah, and it kind of covers what happens to him between the events of Justice League Drowned Earth and present day. And I also like this one more than the others because it was Ocean Master being Ocean Master, not Ocean Master getting a gift from Lex and deciding what he wants to do.
Right.
But him legitimately being himself. Like, we get a new elemental that
some ancient and underwater elemental that has been
looks
down
amazing.
there for and that was cool. I'm interested to see what that. I think maybe this is setting up for what Aquaman's going to be doing after Year of the Villain.
I think it's either going to be Aquaman or setting up an alternate aquatic villain for Mera.
Oh, that's true, possibly.
Because we do, like, everything right now is Black Manta versus Aquaman, but they really are pushing Mera to the forefront. And I think Ocean Master is going to be Mera's main
I could see
competition.
That, I could see that.
Because they are very similar.
Well, yeah, I mean, they both are like vying for the throne here. Like, Arthur is one of those guys who's always like, I will take the throne if I have to.
Yeah.
But I don't want to.
Yes. And Orm is just, I
should be ruling something.
Yes. And I like that
which is kind of what his deal is in this. He's like, listen, I'm awesome. I should be ruling something.
I also did not know that he actually had like a fiance and a kid essentially on land.
Yeah, I feel like I missed that somewhere in Aquaman. I mean, I dip in it. I really like Aquaman as a character, but I tend to dip in and out of his books just because if I'm not into the book, I'll kind of come out of it. Mm-hmm. So I feel maybe I missed that somewhere.
I have a feeling this is one of those ones where it was like way long ago, and now they're being, because I mean, they even say it of her going, "You left. We didn't know how long you were going to be gone, or if you were going to ever show back up." And so it's definitely going to. I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to see what's happening to him. And honestly, this book made me go, I prefer Ocean Master over Black Manta. In present day,
he seems more interesting as a villain. Yeah,
not everything is just killing Arthur and daddy problems.
Right. And one of those things is, in this book at least, he doesn't really seem like a villain.
No,
he seems like maybe he doesn't have like the best way of going about things.
You know who he kind of reminds me of? An aquatic Conan.
Kind of, yeah.
Someone who like is very needs to rule, is set in stone about this, and will pretty much do what he needs to do to get it done.
Right, yeah. I can see that, yeah. I do like at the end when he goes and visits the fiance, and then he comes and he's leaving, and he's like, she's like, I don't want you to come back here. You know, you will not visit my son. And he's like, well, you did say he considers me a father, so I'll come back a little while later when he's older.
Offer him the throne,
and we'll see how he likes it.
She's like, wait,
what the who? Pardon?
Great issue, though. Yeah, honestly, of all of the Year of the Villain single issues,
this is probably the one I've actually, this one and the Harley one they got this week.
Speaking of Harley, is actually our next one. Instead of Harley Year of the Villain, it's Harley Quinn's Villain of the Year.
Yeah. This one felt like an episode of the cartoon to me.
Yes.
It was like I could see this being an episode of the cartoon.
It's essentially just a very funny story of giving awards to different villains. And it turns out all of the people listed were actually voted by the audience. But my favorite in the entirety is because she's constantly being Harley Quinn, breaking the fourth wall, clearly making up things about their stories.
Sure, yeah.
But when she goes into the Thomas Wayne and she's like, and up for essentially renovating or reinventing helicopter parenting. Flashpoint Batman.
I like when he comes up and he's still wearing the mask, but he's got the suit on. He's like, listen, we've all been there, right? We've all, I don't forget what he exactly says.
He's
but
like,
it's like
all your parents will be proud of you. Black Man is like, this is so beautiful.
I thought it was good. It was a lot of fun. I mean, it was standard Harley Quinn where, you know, it's just silly and off the wall and stuff like that. But it was a lot of fun. So if you enjoy Harley Quinn books, this was a good one.
And I do want to actually say off of that, it's not overly off the wall, which I liked.
No, yes, it is more reined back, which I do prefer. It's same with my Deadpool. Like I prefer the more reined back off the wall. If that makes
the
any
grounded
sense.
off the wall, as opposed to
when I
off the
said
wall
it out
in
loud, it
space.
didn't make any sense.
I knew exactly what you were saying, actually. Because that's actually why I did not read Harley Quinn for a while, because from what
it got too
you were
much.
saying and what everyone else was saying, it was way over the top. But this definitely was not. This was just the right amount over the top. So
like peeking over the top,
just like
and popping back.
Next up, Detective Comics 1017,
which Benny has said is very good.
Oh yeah, neither of us have been reading
been reading it because I can only deal
not.
with so much Batman when it's not it is very good.
Yeah.
So. But apparently I should be reading Detective.
Benny is claiming that Batman Detective Comics is the Batman story you should be reading right now.
That is true.
So that did come out. Doom Patrol, Weight of the Worlds, number 6 came out, if you've been reading that one. Dungeons and Dragons Infernal Tides number 1 came out this week. I think this one is written by
Jim Zub. Art by Max Dunbar. I bought this issue.
You read this?
I did. Well, I bought it physically. I don't know if Ben bought it.
He did not.
Yeah. It's really good. It's so as I understand it.
Ooh, nice art.
It is. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Max Dunbar's art. This is the start of the new arc with Jim Zub and Max Dunbar coming back. As I understand it, it's supposed to be the plot from the Descent into Avernus, which is one of the newer Dungeons and Dragons adventures that has just come out. I think it came out in November, maybe October. I don't remember. So it takes like the previous characters they set up in all their other arcs, because Jim Zub and Max Dunbar have done like 4 different arcs at this point.
Yeah.
And just puts them in this new book. So it's a lot of fun. It was a good first issue.
All right.
So you don't need to know anything about the characters if you just want to pick it up.
Okay.
Because you're interested in Dungeons and Dragons comic. They'll fill you in on what you actually need to know about the characters, but other than that, you're good.
Sweet. And it is only a 5-issue miniseries.
Yes.
So it's not too much of an investment. I like it. All right. I'll have to actually give that one a shot. I love Jim Zub.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jim Zub, and honestly, looking at the art, because art always sells me,
yeah.
and that is beautiful art. So, all right, next up is Fallen Angels number 3. I did not like this.
Okay, I got 3-ish pages in, and I was like, I'm sure Dan will read this one.
So Fallen Angels right now, it's a Psylocke story that has Cable and X-23 in it. Fine. But keep them as who they are as characters.
That's the thing. They don't seem like the same characters.
They aren't.
To me, yeah.
Like this one, they're almost like reverting Laura back to as if she had never had any training. Like there's one part where Cable gets knocked out of the sky and she's like, oh man. And Psylocke's, get your head in the game. You should never get distracted with enemies around. And it's like, it's X-23. She knows what to do in this situation. This is literally what she's built for. Like, and so that kind of stuff has really been bugging me about the Fallen Angels story. It's just they went, hey, we want to write a Psylocke story.
Yep.
Give us 2 people that are similar, but we're essentially going to make them clean slates.
Yeah, so we can have Psylocke as like the seasoned veteran.
Exactly. And like she's constantly like, I know you're angry. Unleash your rage. And it's like, no, like she learned all these lessons either by herself, from Logan, from the X-Men. Like there are so many things that have gotten her up to this point. And the fact that other heroes in the X-Men universe kept their evolution to that point is really, really been bugging me. And honestly, I never thought I would say it, but Fallen Angels is one of my least favorite X-Men books right now. Yeah. And I did not think I was going to say that because I love X-23. Everyone knows it, and it's a shame what they're doing to her. They made her too young, too stupid, and it's just a shame. So, Anyway, moving on from that, Fantastic Four number 17 came out. I did not read this one. I almost did, but I read 25, and then that was the 26, and I'm like, no. I did, however, read Far Sector number 2. This is the Green Lantern.
That's right. Okay.
The Green Lantern way in the far sector. And actually,
now I get it.
It's quite fun. It's a fun cop story.
Okay.
Like it truly is a cop story in a alien city. She rarely uses her Green Lantern powers. She is just a policewoman doing this kind of stuff, and it's really cool because like the society, I guess, there's an emotion exploit that allows people to experience certain emotions, and then there's a drug that essentially turns off inhibitions.
Okay.
And apparently one of the drugs that did that is causing some of the species to eat other species. And in this one, they explain it because like the species is hollow, and in their culture, that's like a becoming one kind of thing, not like a cannibalistic. And so it's really cool seeing all these different like space cultures, how like they came together. This one's really setting up a lot of history behind the characters, behind the different counselors and stuff like that. And I am really enjoying it. If you are really annoyed with Green Lantern, the Grant Morrison, and you want a space cop story, not over the top, like mostly constructs and stuff like that, this is the story. She has not really used constructs much at all. So far, all she's used them for is to really like move a crowd aside. Right. But it's really cool. I'm actually really enjoying this story, and the art's nice. The just the aesthetic of the book is really nice. So. Definitely worth checking out. Yeah. I'll check it out. Next up is Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man number 14. I loved this story. Did you read this?
I think I missed this one. I knew you were in it, so I was like, Dan will get this one.
Such a just friendly, happy-go-lucky story. And
my least favorite.
Right. You actually might not like it that much because you don't care too much about these ones.
Yeah,
it's very essentially it starts off with a flashback of Peter like right after his parents died, staying at May and Ben's house, and May's like, you go to sleep and I'll be here when you wake up. Goes to present day. Aunt May is going in for surgery for her cancer. And as he's sitting there, the power goes out and it's a citywide blackout. And he's like, crap, I have to go be Spider-Man. So he leaves. And this is the heartwarming part is all the other heroes are like, no. We know you've got somewhere to be. We got this. And like he does. And so it's like everyone's doing
realistically,
the nice
there's like 800 heroes in New York.
And so a lot of them are doing that. And then he even figures out who started the blackout. And it's some kid from someone's high school. And he goes there and he's like, look, like, can you not do this tonight? Yeah. Like he literally just says to him, he's like, I got somewhere to be. Can you not do this tonight? And the kid just goes, guys, let's stop it. Put the power back on and all of that. And like, he's on the thing and he's like, you know what? We know we owe you. Like you've saved us so many times. And it was just such a nice, heartwarming story of he was able to be like, because I was nervous it was going to be another one of those. He promised Aunt May he was going to be there, and then he wasn't there. And it's like, this is a really depressing moment for that to happen. So it was a really nice story. If you want just a nice little happy story, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man number 14, definitely worth it. So next up is Ghost Rider number 3. Did you read this one?
I did, yes.
What'd you think?
I'm not 100% sure what they're doing with it yet. Yeah. It's kind of my feeling. Not that I dislike it. Right. Obviously, Danny is now Ghost Rider-less.
Yes. The Ghostless Rider.
The Ghostless Rider. That's a good way to put it. I like that. And we're getting the idea that, from character and stuff that Johnny has been corrupted by hell. Even he doesn't realize it. But nothing that Johnny has done makes me think he's corrupted. Yeah. Because at this point, he's like, I got to stop these demons that have gotten free, and I got to bring them back because I'm the king of hell. And he even runs into two of them, and he's like, and they're like, oh, Mephisto used to let us do this all the time. We just come out here and mess with people. And he's like, no, I'm the king of hell. That's not how it works anymore. Yeah. And then he dragged that one back to hell. So it's like, everything everybody else is saying is Johnny has been corrupted by hell, and
if anything, it looks like a good corruption.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and they're like, well, we got to stop him because he doesn't know what he's doing, and it's like, but nothing he's doing, seems to collaborate with that idea.
Yeah, nothing about what he's doing makes me go, oh, he's
evil. So evil. Yeah,
like if it was to a normal person. Okay,
sure.
But he literally does it to a demon that just engulfs a car.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
so it doesn't seem like he's being evil. That's my feeling.
Yeah.
The book itself isn't bad, and I like the stuff with Danny and things like that is very interesting. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's that. It doesn't meld. It doesn't gel up.
It really doesn't.
Johnny's now corrupted and Johnny's actual acts. So I guess that would be my takeaway. The art's good. You know, the actual story itself isn't bad.
Right.
It's just I'm like, wait.
Plus, we still have the confusion of the whole evil. Mephisto stuff. I do like that they directly reference in Damnation, Strange trapped him in the Inferno Hotel in Las Vegas.
And now he can just keep making deals, apparently.
Yeah. So anyway, Ghost Rider number 3. Good, but kind of weird.
It's weird,
ways, So. Gotham City Monsters number 4.
So I'm still liking this book. It's not as interesting as I wanted it to be with all of the Monster Town and things like that.
Okay.
They're still trying to fight Melmoth, the Martian wizard, or whatever the hell he's supposed to be, who he's now referencing how somebody's been messing around with the metaverse, which is from Doomsday Clock, and how like the multiverse is being corrupted because of the darkness, but they're going to save the metaverse, which is ours. So that's like Melmoth's plan. Mm-hmm. So then...
they really... made Orca very feminine looking.
Yes, some of it, yeah. But so like the monsters are still trying to stop him. Once again, they're too late. So Melmoth kind of gets his thing, and then the book kind of ends with them fighting. He drags monsters from the multiverse, which is just the standard Universal Studios versions of the monsters. So it's Dracula, Wolfman, Mummy, and normal, like what you would think of as Frankenstein. Yeah. So that's kind of how it ends. It's okay. It's not as interesting as I would have liked it to be. This one has Batwoman in it too.
Yep.
And then she also references how like they're still in the city of Bane, and she's supposed to be keeping a low profile until Batman tells them all to move. You know, that sort of thing. So it's okay. It's just what I thought the book was going to be and kind of what it started with, it's kind of gone a little downhill for me. Not that saying that it's bad, it's just not what I wanted it to be. I guess is probably the best way to put it.
Well, there's only 2 more issues left.
Exactly. So
if you have been reading that, might as well keep going.
Yeah, I mean, if you're enjoying it, finish it out.
All right. So next up on our list today, apparently that's just a full page of romance manga.
Ooh.
Comicsology likes to...
Usually when it says like there's 7 pages of new books, like the last 4 are either old or just like random stuff. Yeah,
that's exactly what this is. So, all right. So Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy number 4.
So I read this one. I have been enjoying this series. I've said it in the past. Mm-hmm. This was still good. This is Harley and Pam are cruising. They're trying to get away from what's the dude's name? The flower villain that wants to be the new Guardian of the Green, or
the floral guy.
Floristic man or something like that. So to and this is standard Harley Quinn, to kind of alleviate some of the horrors and the fighting they've been through, they decide to stop at a dinosaur theme park.
As you do,
which has been taken over by a dinosaur-themed supervillain. So, who has taken people hostage. So they go in there, they fight the supervillain, they escape. It's like this whole series as a whole it's fun because it's kind of like Harley and Pam being Harley and Pam. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they're also like the bigger storyline is them trying to figure out what's wrong with Pam and things like that. I've been enjoying the series. I think it's a lot of fun. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Next up on the list is Hawkman number 19. So this one is essentially
still the Infected.
So it's the Infected with Sky Tyrant, and we have Hawk Woman, not Hawk Girl, the very key player in Justice League right now, but a different Hawk Woman from Thanagar that showed up.
Oh, really?
To try and knock sense into him. Did you read this?
I did not.
Yeah. So
I think I missed it.
And like. it very threw me off because I'm like, they're directly referencing everything that's going on.
Right.
We know Hawk Girl is doing this stuff, so I guess this is just
because there's always a.
I know in Thanagar there was because I think
in the 90s, Hawkman and Hawkwoman were not Carter Hall and Hawk Girl's character.
Yes.
They weren't the Egyptian resurrected. They were actually aliens from Thanagar.
Yes.
That were Hawk people.
So in this they explain that though.
Okay.
So like in the very first page it says we thought our lives began in Egypt. Then we learned it was from Thanagar. Then we learned that it was actually the beginning of time when I was a Deathbringer and she was the one that convinced me to stop.
Right.
So like they reference all of that. I think, keyword think, if you remember the Justice League storyline where they go to Thanagar Prime,
yes,
and there was a Hawk woman there and a Hawk man, and it turned out that Hawk man that was fake.
Right.
I think that Hawk woman is the one that came.
Okay.
So I think that's what the case is, because it's clearly not the Hawk Girl who's the very key player.
Right. Yeah.
But it's just a big fight between the two of them, and Sky Tyrant kind of gets his ass whooped.
Nice. That's pretty funny.
It was pretty funny. But you learn in this one that Carter's just really annoyed because he's like, no. You're essentially killing people to try and stay alive so that you don't have to die and become a good person again.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
What's the problem?
I have no idea where they're going to be going with this, and it's just confusing because of the situation with Hawk Girl.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that.
Anyway, that is Hawkman.
Hawk people.
There's way too many Hawk people. Man,
Damn,
get some like Falcons or something.
Falcon people.
Anyway, that is Hawkman number 19. Next up on the list. Whoa, I did not even see that came out. Immortal Hulk number 28 came out.
It wasn't very good.
Really?
Yes,
you read it?
I did.
I didn't even see it.
They kind of been losing me with Immortal Hulk last couple of issues.
They've been losing
the art
me
looks
too.
terrible in this issue.
Oh, really?
It's awful. So the art,
What
it's
hell?
not good. Yeah, it doesn't even. It's supposed to be Dario, the Minotaur man who runs Roxxon, Dario something or other, and he doesn't look like a Minotaur in my opinion. He looks like a weird version of Krampus actually. So the whole issue is like Roxxon trying to deal with the Hulk and how everybody loves the Hulk even though he destroys things. So it's like them trying to figure out how to like capitalize on that is realistically the whole issue. It is so boring. The art is crap.
I missed it.
The book itself was really boring. Did not like it. And it's been that way for the last couple issues with Immortal Hulk for me. So I need them to get back to the cool stuff.
I agree with that.
Yeah, the Twilighty Zone Hulk things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with that. But yeah, did not care for this issue at all, honestly.
All right. Well, that's Immortal Hulk number 28.
I honestly feel like you could probably skip it.
It sounds like it's a good thing I did.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is Justice League Odyssey number 16.
Yeah.
So this one, not too much happened, I found.
Not a lot happened. There's like a weird side character.
Gamma Knife,
which didn't sound like a thing. I think doesn't Jessica Cruz say that? Or like, that's not a name.
Yeah, she goes, that's not an...
Yeah, something like
it's
that.
like, that's not real.
That's not real. That's not... What's your real name?
Yeah.
You learned a little bit more about Orion, which I thought was cool. And then, yeah, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot going on in this issue, honestly.
I felt like this was very filler, very... Because, I mean, the thing with Gamma Knife...
artist they went with either. I do not like the artist they've switched to. It's not as dynamic. It's not as cool.
It's not. It's very
poppy as like the original artist was. Yeah, flat is probably the best way to put it. Yeah, but yeah, this was definitely like a filler issue.
Yeah, not the best issue. If you are reading Justice League Odyssey, I would definitely say
keep going
continue.
with it. Yeah, definitely.
It's not one that you need to skip, but there
it's
was
not
a good portion of it that it was like.
Yeah,
exactly. Really doing
like
this
if
again?
You could only get a certain number of comics this week, this could probably hold off a week. You're not going to be like, you definitely need to read this issue.
All you need to know is we finally have Cyborg back in the picture.
Yes.
And that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is Justice League Odyssey number 16. Next up, Doom 2099. Did you read this one?
I did. This is a weird one.
It was super weird.
I'm not even really sure where they're going with it.
So it's, I'll actually give a theory I have. So
Okay,
in this one, it is supposedly Doom was in a fight with Reed Richards, and they had to use the time platform to go to the future to save themselves from the collapsing of the lab around them. So they're doing constant flashbacks to that throughout the whole thing.
I mean, that makes perfect sense, right? The building's falling apart. Quick, use the time machine.
I mean, yeah, it does make sense for them.
Yes.
So they're going through, and it's Doom has woken up in the year 2099 in the Savage Land.
The Ravages.
The Ravages. And so we get like a cool story behind him and him trying to find Doom 2099.
Who he believes, at first he doesn't realize he's Doom.
Yes.
Then his memories come back. And he's like, well, this other Doom that everyone's talking about must be an imposter or one of my Doom bots that kind of like kept going. He's like, I'll just go and find him and stop him.
Yes. And throughout the whole thing, he's continuously seeing Reed Richards essentially like talking to him.
Reed Richards talking to him.
And then so he eventually finds the Doom 2099, who I believe is actually Victor Von Doom. And then the cliffhanger, if I'll give you a brief moment to leave if you don't want the spoiler for this quick moment.
Earmuffs.
I am 90% certain Reed Richards and Victor fused.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that would be my theory, yeah.
Because the last panel is he is all stretched out in the way that is always depicted of
when Reed is like knocked unconscious and kind of loses control. Yeah.
And so it's very, very interesting to kind of see what's going to come from that. I enjoyed it.
It was a very enjoyable book.
The 2099 stuff, I'm actually enjoying
most
more
of them
than
I've
I was
enjoyed,
expecting.
yeah. Conan was the best. Just we're clear on that.
Oh, hands down.
Yeah.
There is no question.
Certain ones I've kind of been like the Punisher one was
Yeah.
Ghost Rider was decent.
Ghost Rider
Venom
was decent.
was solid, yeah.
But I mean, I am enjoying the 2099 stuff at the moment. But Doom 2099 #1, I actually recommend. I think it's very worth reading. The art was nice.
I believe the next one is Omega.
I believe so, because Spider-Man 2099 came out this week. And this, for once, is the origin, I believe, of Miguel.
That way.
Yeah, so Miguel, this is before he becomes Spider-Man 2099, and you kind of get this story is, the Spider-Man 2099 is just this is a glimpse into what the world is like.
Yeah.
Because all the other ones this is what the Punisher kind of does. This is what this guy, but this one is Miguel before he became Spider-Man and all of that.
But then he also meets Spider-Man 2099
from the future.
It's really confusing.
Future.
Yeah, the ending actually was a little confusing to me.
Yeah.
But yes, this does seem like this, because this is a different origin to Miguel than the original 2099 from the 90s.
I'm wondering. Okay, ready for this?
Hit me with your theories.
Because of the situation with Doom, I'm wondering if the Doom that he ran into is actually a Doom from the future that came back. And the Miguel, the future Spider-Man that we saw in this, came along with him to try and warn Spider-Man and trying to set those in motion.
I could see that.
Just a possibility. You'll see him. But it's very enjoyable. I enjoyed it. Of the two, though, I kind of prefer Doom.
I would say, of the two, I would say Doom.
The Spider-Man 2099, you get a look into Miguel, into the world, how it works, and his brother. But at the end of the day, if you don't care,
then
you're not going to be
there's
interested
no point
at
to
all.
it. Yeah.
So, but it did come out. Next up, Marvel's Avengers Iron Man #1, one of his Gamerverse issues. I almost read this, but it was on the bottom of my list.
Wait, hold on. This is the Marvel Gamerverse version of Iron Man?
Yes.
I didn't even see this one. Oh, I completely missed this one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that did come out. Clearly, neither of us read it. So if you have been enjoying the Gamerverse,
Spider-Man,
yes,
I would assume it's in the same universe.
Yes.
I didn't realize that was the Gamerverse one, or I would. I just saw Iron Man, and I was like, I don't generally read Iron Man.
So this is the first prequel comic
to Marvel's Avengers,
to the upcoming video game Marvel's Avengers.
Okay.
Avengers
right.
Assemble. So
check it
out. It looks like. I'm not even going to try and guess, but there is a Thor one that's going to be coming out soon, as well as a Hulk one.
Okay.
In the pre-order section for that page. So if you are interested in those, check them out.
Or don't.
Next
I'm
up,
not your parent.
Yeah. Next up after that is Miles Morales, number 13. So this one, we continued off of the Prowler, has now become the Prowler again. Miles screwed up one of his hits. Now everyone's out to try and kill the Prowler. And they're trying to make their way back from Brooklyn to the hospital because his mom's having birth.
Got it.
That's the story.
All right.
I'm not even kidding. That's pretty much the story, but just with
Sure.
what happens along the way. So
Makes sense.
Morbius number 2 came out. I don't believe either of us are reading that one, but if you are reading it, check it out. New Mutants number 3 came out. This one I actually didn't mind that much.
It's a great review for
well, I was
it
actually
didn't piss me off
so
that
this I was talking to Thani, one of our viewers, about this kind of stuff, and I don't like how the different side stories are going into different side stories. So in the New Mutants, previously, it's been at least I believe, the mutants that had gone to space.
Okay.
Well, this one is Armor and Glob and the twins back on Krakoa trying to figure out kind of what's going on with some of the people that haven't arrived to Krakoa.
Yeah.
To which I'm just like, didn't we just send people in space? Like, are we not going to do something about that?
Yeah.
Excuse me. So that aside, this story is her going to Beak and Angel, not Angel Warren, but a different one. They're going to them, seeing if they want to come to Krakoa, learning why they're there, sharing their stuff, because like their human relative is sick, and so they bring a cure from Krakoa, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that they could do that," and they're like, "We told you we could do that."
Broadcast to the world,
literally straight to your brain.
Yeah, Jesus.
I mean, it was an okay story, but it was the fact that I don't know where this is going to go in terms of the overall story. And as someone that reads as many comics as we do,
yeah,
I find myself going into these X-Men stories going, which one is this?
Yeah.
And even when
And
I
why do I
realize what it
care?
is, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, it's the one of them in space.
Right.
So why is this in that story?
Yeah.
But anyway, New Mutants. I mean, it wasn't a bad story. It wasn't like Fallen Angels where I was just like
Pissed off at it for 20-something pages.
This one, I did like the story. They are using those the French twins from the extermination event.
Okay.
So I'm glad that they're still being used. But that was also another example of this is a brand new character, but we're reverting X-23.
Right, yeah.
Well, but anyway. Next up on the list, Punisher Soviet number 2 of 6 came out this week. This is that one that I told you about last time. Yeah. This one is a very, very slow issue. It's just Frank meets this other guy, and the other guy tells him his story. Okay. And in short, it's just a bunch of army stories of how I'm pretty sure it's political commentary on like Afghanistan of like going there, doing something, leaving, and then the locals screwing it up, and then going in and essentially screwing it up even more. And then so it felt like one that probably you and Benny would read and be like, oh, I relate in some ways.
I can kind of see what they're talking about. Yeah.
But it was very slow issue.
Fair
but
enough.
We get an explanation to who the character is.
Okay.
Next up is Rai, number 2. I decided to keep reading this one. It's very slow. They go to an automated house. They're trying to find the other Rai. And
this is the Fallen World, I believe it's called, right?
just Rai.
Oh, this isn't. Okay. Sorry, my bad.
Very slow, very repetitive was my
Right.
problem with it. Was because they show up to this house that's an automated system, has been for like 900 years. And it was cool, but there were multiple panels that you're like, they just did this
Right.
5 times. Like, I get that you're trying to be human, but like, at least change it up. Come on.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I feel about it. I really like the first one. I'll give it the 3-issue test though. So
Fair enough.
Sorry, my nose is getting itchy. Next up on our list, Savage Sword of Conan, number 12.
Ah, yes.
Tell me about it,
Savage
Andrew.
Sword of Conan.
Savage.
So this is a one-shot issue. Conan screws up.
Okay.
As sometimes Conan does. He's going through the village and he sees a child being attacked. And so he kind of leaps in to save the child. Or no, I'm sorry. He gets attacked. He's with a child. These cultists think or steal the child, and Conan then sets out on a savagey sort of Conan way of getting the child back. Turns out there's a little bit of a twist, and Conan was wrong.
Okay.
And then the rest of his issue is kind of spent trying to fix that. This was definitely a one-off issue. I think this is probably one of the best things about Conan is that you don't need to know anything. If all you know about Conan is he's a barbarian, you can grab this issue, read it, and you get a one-and-done story, and it's a lot of fun. You don't need to know, oh, well, what about Conan's backstory?
Right.
Nope, don't worry about it.
All right.
I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed most of these the Savage Swords of Conan's and the Conan the Barbarian. So.
All right. I might have to check that one out then. Next up, Spider-Verse number 3 of 6 came out. I have not been reading this one.
I fell off of these.
I honestly, even if it could be the best story in the world, but you've done too many Spider-Verses.
Yeah, a lot of Spider-Verse.
I at this point, it's like I get what you're trying to do, but I know what's probably going to happen. We have multiple Star Wars books coming out this week. We got the Dr. Aphra number 40. I don't believe you've been reading those.
I'm catching up, but slowly. I've not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we had a Star Wars Target Vader concluded this week.
Yeah. This one was okay. Like this arc or this little miniseries, whatever you want to call it. It was all right. Honestly, it wasn't anything great. None of the characters that they introduced, like the Valance character, he was fun for what he was, but he wasn't really anything new. He was kind of like a mixture of a bunch of old Star Wars characters.
Okay.
Of all the Vader-centric Star Wars books that Marvel's put out, this is probably my least favorite, honestly.
Okay.
There's a new Darth Vader comic coming out, starting with issue 1. Comes out, I think, in February by Greg Pak. I'll probably check that one out.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if you got all the other ones and you were enjoying it, obviously pick this one up. But as a whole, this miniseries was me. It was all right.
All right. And there you go on that. Next up after
review.
that... Strike Force number 4 came out. This is the one of Blade, Winter Soldier,
Jessica
Jessica Drew.
Yeah, fighting weird vampire things.
Yeah, they're fighting the Verdai who essentially implant memories. And this one, they show up to a house and they tell each other stories.
Yeah.
And it turns out none of them actually happened.
Yeah,
it's the
it was
Verdai
kind of
getting in their head. And I was like,
issue
weird.
2.
Yeah, so this story as a whole, I've been very...
Yeah, at first I was like, oh, this could be cool. Blade kind of putting together a team to fight these monster things, and it's just kind of Yeah. I've seen it done before better, and
exactly. I think that's the problem. Is it has been done before and better. So, Supergirl 37 came out. Did you read that?
I did. So here's what I figured out based upon this book, this issue.
Okay.
This issue and the King Shazam issue has proven to me that the Joker toxin infection, the Batman Who Laughs version of it, just turns you into a dick. It's kind of what it is. It's Supergirl being a spoiled brat. Mm-hmm. And I think even Superman says, or Batman says that to her, like, you're just being a spoiled brat. Like, it's just her like, you people don't deserve me. I'm such a great hero, and you're just screwing yourselves over, but I'm a hero, and and like Batman's like, you need to stop it. You're just being a little brat. And because Superman's like, no, they deserve us to protect. They don't deserve us. We're here. You know, that sort of. It's like apparently all the Batman Who Laughs and toxin does is turn you into an asshole. Like, you don't even really do anything because she doesn't like hurt anybody.
Right. And
at one point she like punches Superman, but that's not really going to do anything. And it's like, okay, I guess. It's like when like King Shazam was like, I need to find someone who's worthy of a fight with me. Like, yeah. So you just become kind of a dick. I don't like.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like that was Batman Who Laughs playing the whole time. I'm going to turn all the superheroes into dicks.
Turn them into a bunch of dicks.
Anyway. Yeah, right. So, honestly.
Okay. Next up, Superman 18. I don't believe either of us are reading this.
This
but
is
I
the one where
he
reveals himself.
Yes.
Yeah. That sounded weird.
Revealed to the world.
He reveals his identity. He doesn't reveal himself to the world.
I think he does both.
Well,
read it and find out. Okay, next up, Symbiote Spider-Man Alien Reality #1. Did you read this?
I did, yeah.
It was very weird.
It was.
So it starts off with him fighting against Kraven.
Yep.
Kraven does his classics, knocks him unconscious, but because it's the symbiote Spider-Man,
it takes over.
It takes over, and he starts freaking out. He knocks him out, and then wakes up in like an alternate dimension where he's a friendly guy, and a bunch of really weird stuff.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange is a homeless dude, and
yeah,
the Hobgoblin is the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Very odd.
I do like when he was like, oh, because he's obviously figuring out that like everything's not right. Like Kraven is his sidekick, and Black Cat is actually Black Widow.
Yeah.
And things like that. And then he's like going to see Wong. And he's like, oh God, thank God it's Wong.
Yeah.
Wong, I need to talk to Doctor Strange. And he's like, who? He's like, the Sorcerer Supreme. He's like, this will be great. I wonder who it is.
Yeah.
And then it turns out it's Hobgoblin. But this is, it was a weird, I don't know where they're going with it. It wasn't bad. It was just, yeah, like I have
it's
no.
very
I was
weird.
like, wait, what's
and
happening?
it's, but I will say it's weird in a good way.
Yes.
Because it's not like other ones where I'm like, would I keep reading it? This one I'm like, okay, let's find out.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. So, all right, next up is Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Teen Titans, The Judas Contract, #1. Actually very good because it goes in the direction that you would actually expect Terra to go in today's day and age.
I guess, yeah, probably in this case, because I didn't particularly care for this one, but I never liked Terra as a character. I thought she's an irritating character, and this book made her into an even more irritating character.
Exactly, but I think that's why I liked it, because she is an irritating character that, in my opinion, this would be the direction she goes.
I would say, yeah.
The direction of, oh, Deathstroke just slapped me? Okay, I'm going to literally rip his arms off and decapitate him at the same time.
Yeah.
And then, like, brings all the kryptonite to destroy Superman, like, hurls Donna into space, buries everyone else, like, launch it. Like, I think she destroys the Titans Tower with a volcano.
Yep.
I actually kind of enjoyed this one. It went in the direction of what I would expect from Terra. I liked her going by the name of Gaia.
Yeah. Which is a better name.
Way better name.
Yeah. I can see that, though. They were just like, all right, she's already unlikable. Let's just go to the extreme, I guess. So I guess in that sense, you're right. Yes.
I feel like a lot of these are actually them going, okay, here's the original story. Now, how would an actual person react?
Yeah, kind of.
I feel like a lot of these, because that's like the Ted Cord taking over. He's like, no, a real person would go, I can do this.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
And I do like that aspect to these stories. So it's very, very interesting. But if you want to see Terra essentially kill the DC universe, check it out. I will warn you, it's in the old art style. That was my biggest
the art
bummer.
I didn't like at all. Yeah,
I did not like the art. That was my biggest hang up with this. So, next up on the list, The Batman's Grave #3 came out. Did you get by that look? You did not.
I didn't even see it.
But that did come out.
Did Ben buy it?
I don't think so.
That's probably why I missed it then.
The Dollhouse Family #2 came out. If you've been reading that horror story. Flash 84 came out. Have you?
No, Benny's the Flash guy.
Benny's the Flash man.
Yeah.
Next up after that is Valkyrie, Jane Foster, #6. So this one, we get like the most obvious thing of what you expect most of the universe to do. The coroner, no.
Yeah, the coroner.
The coroner, yeah. He's performing like an autopsy, doing stuff. The body wakes up, essentially almost strangles him, starts talking, and he looks to Jane Foster and goes, "Well, are you going to go do your thing?"
And she's like, "What are you talking about?"
"What?" He's
well,
like, "I know you're Valkyrie."
Yeah, like I know you're Valkyrie.
He's just like, "Well, when this happened, I knew it was one of these two people, and then I saw Valkyrie talking to her.
So it had to be you." Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this guy's like the coroner. There's obvious other people that could have done this with other superheroes, but anyway, I did enjoy this. I've been liking the Valkyrie stories.
I have too. Yeah, I've been doing it. So this one, she goes to.
She gets a team of doctor-based superheroes.
Which I don't even know who any of them were.
No, me
other
either.
than Night Nurse, obviously. I knew who Night Nurse is.
I actually didn't know Night Nurse.
I know Night Nurse, but other than that, I didn't know any of the other characters.
I actually really liked that. I liked that we did get a bunch of people that were based off of healing and stuff that. They get Excalibur. We had
the sword.
Not the sword. Well,
no, it is the sword. Yes, yeah.
And then we also have I didn't know the guy, but the guy that like just chooses which stage in his evolutionary
don't know who that
chain.
was. Yeah.
Mannequin, I think.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was.
But so it's just a bunch of cool new people. We get Doctor Strange.
Yep.
This is after Damnation, I believe, where he gets his hands back.
Yes. Because he even mentions that because he's doing magic tricks.
He's like, I've been practicing this. Was this your card?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I've been enjoying the Valkyrie story just because it's not your traditional superhero.
Yes.
And I like that.
Yeah, I do like it, yeah.
So, anything else you wanted to say about?
No, I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the art. I'm interested to see where this, because this is kind of the start to the next arc.
Yes.
So yeah,
I do like that a lot of her stuff is, okay, we're just going to kind of go somewhere else. And this is the death of death. So it's this could be cool. And it's also outside of everything. So you don't have to worry about the main stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy that
thing,
they're keeping her out of the field. Next up, Wonder Twins number 10. So this one is essentially just they're helping free, the Wonder Twins are helping their friend free her dad who got trapped in the negative zone. Mm-hmm. All right, so moving on to the next one. That's essentially the story.
Fair enough.
There's not too much happens in it. I mean, I don't know how I feel about the story as a whole, to be honest.
I have not been reading them.
Yondu, number 3 of 5, came out this week. That's technically after, but I wanted to end with a book we could actually talk about. X-Force number 3. Did you get a chance to read this one?
I did, yes.
So I'll let you talk about this one first then.
So I kind of said this last time, which was, to me, this felt like, because usually with X-Force books, there's like something happens, boom, I got a team of mutants who are willing to kill people, because that's kind of what X-Force does.
I like this because of that.
I'll say this is more of the, hey, something happened, we've got to put together a team of mutants who are willing to, do the missions that can't really talk about, kind of the Black Ops missions. Which is basically what this is. We get Xavier back.
Yes, I was very glad that everyone was very aware that this was kind of the key resurrection of this is going to decide where we
this
go.
Actually works.
And I really like that they use Jean Grey of she's like, look, I've died and come back more times than I can count.
She's like, why would we care anymore?
Yeah, exactly. And but I do like that. I like how this turned into him going, okay, they have their Black Ops teams. We need
our own, yeah.
And I liked that because this truly was an origin of X-Force.
Yes. And even like Xavier's like, I was really hoping we were past this.
Yeah.
But it looks like we're not. And then he does the to me my X-Force instead of X-Men. No, it was fun. It was a good issue. I'm at first I wasn't really sure what we were doing with this new X-Force book, but I like where it's going. So.
I do too.
Yeah.
And yes, you do see Xavier's full face in this.
You do, yeah.
I remember for a while everyone was like coming up with theories as
that
to
it wasn't
why
really
and
him
stuff like
and things
that.
like that because he was always wearing the
Cerebro helmet.
Yeah, thank you.
So. All right, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Comicstorian Weekly. Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. If you want to support us, you can watch it live on twitch.tv/Comicstorian, where we record it live every Monday after our Conspiracy Cast at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can also subscribe to us over there or go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian, where for $2 you get access to this podcast as well as other great stuff and early access content. If you want to find more of Andy, he has 4 I am the Andy on Instagram. If you want to find more of me, I am Dante Producer on Twitter and Instagram and Dante Streamer on Twitch. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.